In the kitchen, Willa Jean set Wodger carefully on the chair before she climbed up beside him, displaying her ruffled underpants, and grasped her orange juice with both hands, dribbling some down the front of her fresh pink dress. Mrs. Quimby, assisted by Beezus, set out a platter of scrambled eggs and another of bacon and sausage beside the gelatin salad. Hastily, she snatched 2 small plates from the cupboard and dished out 2 servings of brunch, which she set in front of Ramona and Willa Jean. Beezus, acting like a grown-up, filled a basket with muffins and carried it into the dining room. Guests took plates from the stack at the end of the table and began to serve themselves. Ramona scowled. If Beezus got to eat in the living room with the grown-ups, why couldn't she? She was no baby. She would not spill. "Be a good girl," whispered Mrs. Quimby, who had forgotten the marmalade. "I'm trying," thought Ramona, but her mother was too flurried to notice her efforts. Willa Jean took 1 bite of scrambled eggs and then went to work, patting the rest flat on her plate with the back of her spoon. Ramona watched her charge give her egg a final pat with the back of her spoon, pick up her bear, and trot off to the living room, leaving Ramona alone to nibble a muffin, think, and look at her artwork, arithmetic papers, and some cartoons her father had drawn, which had been taped to the refrigerator door for the family to admire. Nobody missed Ramona, all alone out there in the kitchen. Conversation from the living room was boring, all about high prices and who would be the next president, with no mention of children or anything interesting until someone said, "Whoops, careful, Willa Jean." Then Mrs. Kemp said, "No, no, Willa Jean, mustn't put your fingers in Mr. Grumby's marmalade. It's sticky." Mrs. Quimby slipped into the kitchen to see if the coffee was ready. "Ramona, it's time to take Willa Jean to your room and give her your present," she whispered. "I changed my mind," said Ramona. Mr. Quimby, refilling the muffin basket, overheard. "Do as your mother says," he ordered in a whisper, "so that kid will give us a little peace." Ramona considered. Should she make a fuss? What would a fuss accomplish? On the other hand, if she gave Willa Jean her present, maybe she would have a chance to hold that lovable bear for a little while. "Okay," Ramona agreed without enthusiasm. Mrs. Quimby followed Ramona into the living room. "Willa Jean," she said, "Ramona has a present for you in her room." Willa Jean's attention was caught. "Go with Ramona," Mrs. Quimby said firmly. Willa Jean, still clutching her bear, went. "Here." Ramona thrust the package at Willa Jean, and when her guest set her bear on the bed, Ramona started to pick him up. Willa Jean dropped the package. "Wodger's my bear," she said, and ran off to the living room with him. In a moment she returned, bearless, to pull and yank and tear the wrapping from the package. "That's not a present." Willa Jean looked cross. "That's Kleenex." "But it's your very own," said Ramona. "Sit down and I'll show you what to do." She broke the perforation in the top of the box and pulled out 1 pink sheet and then another. "See, you can sit here and pull out all you want, because it's your very own. You can pull out the whole box if you want." She did not bother telling Willa Jean that she had always wanted to pull out a whole box of Kleenex, 1 sheet after another. Willa Jean looked interested. Slowly she pulled out 1 sheet and then a second, and another, and another. She began to pull faster. Soon she was pulling out sheet after sheet and having such a good time that Ramona wanted to join the fun. "It's mine," said Willa Jean when Ramona reached for a tissue. Willa Jean got to her feet and, pulling and flinging, ran down the hall to the living room. Ramona followed. "See me?" Willa Jean ordered the grown-ups as she ran around pulling and flinging Kleenex all over the room. Guests grabbed their coffee mugs and held them high for safety. "No, no, Willa Jean," said Mrs. Kemp. "Mrs. Quimby won't like you wasting her Kleenex." "It's mine!" Willa Jean was carried away by the joy of wasting Kleenex and being the center of attention at the same time. "Ramona gave it to me!" Ramona looked around for the bear, which was sitting on Mr. Grumby's lap. "Would you like me to hold Roger?" Ramona asked, careful not to say Wodger. "No." The bear's owner saw through Ramona's scheme. "Wodger wants to sit there." Mr. Grumby did not look particularly pleased. Willa Jean's parents made no effort to stop their daughter's spree of pull and fling. Ramona watched, feeling much older than she had earlier in the day. She also felt awkward while Beezus moved around the living room, dodging Willa Jean and pouring coffee as if she were a grown-up herself. At first, guests were amused by Willa Jean, but amusement faded as coffee mugs had to be rescued every time Willa Jean passed by. Pink Kleenex littered the room. Ramona heard Mr. Huggins whisper, "How much Kleenex in a box, anyway?" Mrs. McCarthy answered, 250 sheets. "That's a lot of Kleenex," said Mr. Huggins. When Willa Jean came to the last piece of Kleenex, she climbed on the couch and carefully laid it on Mr. Grumby's bald head. "Now you have a hat," she said. Conversation died, and the party died, too. No one called Willa Jean an angel now, or blessed her little heart. The Grumbys were first to leave. Mr. Grumby handed the bear to Willa Jean's mother, as Willa Jean filled her arms with pink tissues and tossed them into the air. "Whee!" she cried, and scooped up another armful. "Whee!" Their departure seemed to be a signal for everyone to leave. "Don't you want to take the Kleenex with you?" Mrs. Quimby asked Willa Jean's mother. "We can put it in a bag." "That's all right. Willa Jean has had her fun." Mrs. Kemp was helping Willa Jean into her coat. "Bye-bye," said Willa Jean prettily as her father carried her and Wodger out the door. Other guests were telling Mr. and Mrs. Quimby how much they had enjoyed the brunch. Beezus was standing beside them, as if it had been her party, too. Mrs. McCarthy smiled. "I can see you are your mother's girl," she said. "I couldn't get along without her," Mrs. Quimby replied generously. "Goodbye, Juanita," said little Mrs. Swink. "Goodbye, Mrs. Swink," answered Ramona, polite to the end. She tossed an armful of Kleenex into the air so that her mother might notice her, too. Somehow tossing someone else's pulled-out Kleenex was not much fun, and Mrs. Quimby was so busy saying goodbye to other guests she did not pay attention. At last the door was closed, and from the porch, where the neighbors were opening umbrellas, Ramona's sharp ears caught her name. "Willa Jean certainly reminds me of Ramona when she was Willa Jean's age," someone said. And someone else answered, "She's Ramona all over again, all right." Ramona was filled with indignation. "Willa Jean is not me all over again," she thought fiercely. "I was never such a pest." "Phew," said Mr. Quimby. "That's over. What's the matter with those people, letting the kids show off like that?" "Too much grandmother, I suppose," answered Mrs. Quimby. "Or maybe it's easier for them to ignore her behavior." "Come on, let's all pitch in and clean up this place," said Mr. Quimby. "Ramona, you find a bag and pick up all the Kleenex." "Kleenex is made of trees," said Beezus, already helping her mother collect coffee mugs from the living room. "We shouldn't waste it." Lately, Beezus had become a friend of trees. "Put the bag of Kleenex in the cupboard in the bathroom," said Mrs. Quimby, "and let's all remember to use it." "I was never as awful as Willa Jean," Ramona told herself as she went to work collecting 250 pieces of scattered pink Kleenex. "I just know I wasn't." She followed the trail of Kleenex back to her bedroom, and when the 250th piece was stuffed into the bag, she leaned against her dresser to study herself in the mirror. "How come nobody ever calls me my mother's girl?" Ramona thought. "How come Mother never says she couldn't get along without me?"